I see why Deontay wants to get right back after it, but I tend to see it the way Kevin Iole does. Guys who suffer a loss like that, especially their first loss, and rush back into the gym rarely are ever the same because they don't recover physically and mentally from that loss, and they're not the same. So the smart approach and the more challenging approach in some ways is to take that time off. Rest up, heal up, then come back. Maybe even get a tune-up under your belt and then get your rhythm back. In other words, let Fury face Anthony Joshua. Then you face the winner and you beat the guy who wins the unified belt. Or you do unify the belt. I mean, I get it again. It sucks. You want to avenge the loss and you want to erase the bad memories as quickly as possible. But you can't do it. Be disciplined. Let the pain motivate you in the long run. Deontay also praised Fury's performance, saying, quote, "I'm super happy for Tyson Fury, and I really want to give him my complete congratulations. He's had a lot of great accomplishments in his career. This is right there with all of them. I'm very excited about his career and what he has done. He deserves a lot of credit." End quote. It's good. That's nice. That's right. So while he came with respect for Fury, and I'm glad to see that he did, he also came with some other interesting items, like the fact that he's still pissed at Mark Breland, his assistant trainer, for throwing in the towel and ending that fight. Quote, "I am upset with Mark for the simple fact that we've talked about this many times. It's not emotional. It's not an emotional thing. It's a principle thing. We've talked about this situation many, many years before this even happened. I said as a warrior, as a champion, as a leader, as a ruler, I want to go out on my shield. If I'm talking about going in and killing a man, I respect the same way. I abide by the same principle of receiving. So I told my team to never, ever, no matter what it may look like, to never throw the towel in with me because I'm a special kind. I still had 5 rounds left. No matter what it looked like, I was still in the fight." End quote. So a day after the fact, I had made the point that I think and I hope that Deontay ultimately is going to come around to this, that he's ultimately going to come around to Mark Breland, a gold medalist, a 2-time world champ. He would know that ultimately Deontay will come around to the fact that Breland did the right thing. I now know that Deontay is not ever going to come around to that, especially hearing that. And on some level, I do get it. Deontay has a fighter's mentality. He is a gladiator. He is a warrior. He believes he can win with that devastating right hand at any time. But I'm here to tell you that was not going to happen on Saturday night because he was not himself Saturday night. And the reason he was not himself Saturday night was because Fury was coming right at him and hammering him. Wilder was not able to defend himself or mount any sort of attack. And that right hand, that Hail Mary, that home run shot, that bomb, whatever you want to call it, it was not coming on that night. But to hear him talk about it, he still believed that he could win. And he believes that Breland betrayed him and let him down by throwing in the towel. And clearly he's not coming off that point, ever, which is fine. A fighter's got to have that mentality. A mentality that he can win no matter what. You can't lose that edge. There's no way that guy could step in between the ropes and do what he does without that edge. And he probably does think that throwing in the towel is a sign of weakness. And I'm sure he thinks the optics are not good when he's the guy on record as saying, "I want to take another man's life." I mean, he says that. Like, I want to take another man's life. And then when he was in danger, the towel came in. I'm sure he didn't like the way that looked. When I always suggested that Breland was looking out for Deontay's best interests, Wilder still was not coming off that. Quote, "I understand he was looking out for me and trying to do what he felt was right, but this is my life and my career, and he has to accept my wishes." End quote. I mean, well, that's not helping. There is always going to be the tension between a fighter and a corner, and especially when it comes to the corner throwing in the towel, especially when that fighter has got the knockout power that Wilder has. the fighter always thinks he has a shot. And he does not want that shot taken away from him by his own corner. That said, it doesn't mean that Breland didn't do the right thing. And it may, in fact, cost Breland his job. But if I were Mark Breland, I'd be able to sleep at night knowing that I did the right thing. Deontay may think that's a sign of weakness, throwing in the towel. But to me, it's a sign of intelligence, a sign of compassion. It guaranteed that there would be a third fight with Fury. Because the way that fight was going, if that fight had gone on much longer, there might not have been a third fight. Hell, there might not have been quality of life. That's how bad a beating he was getting. And to me, wounded pride is still a hell of a lot better than a damaged brain. Wilder, he was not done yet either, by the way. He also had some complaints about the ref and the fact that he felt there was a double standard with how he was being officiated and how Fury was being officiated. And he had a very interesting explanation for why the fight went the way it went. Quote, "He didn't hurt me at all. But the simple fact is, my uniform was way too heavy for me." End quote. I'm sorry, come again? Did he just say that the outfit that he wore into the ring was too heavy and that that's what cost him the fight? Quote, "I didn't have no legs from the beginning of the fight. In the third round, my legs were just shot all the way through. But I'm a warrior, and people know that I'm a warrior. It could easily be told that I didn't have any legs or anything. A lot of people were telling me it looked like something was wrong with you. Something was. But when you're in the ring, you have to bluff a lot of things. I tried my best to do so. I knew I didn't have the legs because of my uniform." End of quote. All right. I really like Deontay Wilder. I really enjoy having Deontay on this show. I really like watching him fight. He's a warrior. He's a gladiator. But I'm here to tell you that is one of the all-time worst explanations for anything ever. My pre-fight costume was too heavy, and that's why I lost the fight. Now, it had nothing to do with a 6'9", 273-pound giant pounding on my head. No, it's not that. It was my costume. Like, how heavy was that costume? According to Deontay, it weighed 40 pounds. Quote, "I was only able to put it on before the fight, the night before, but I didn't think it was going to be that heavy. It weighed 40-some pounds with the helmet and all the batteries. I wanted my tribute to be great for Black History Month. I wanted it to be good, and I guess I put that before anything." End of quote. All right, listen. If that's an excuse, that's a bad excuse. If that's an explanation, it's an even worse explanation. You're blaming the costume. You're blaming the costume, the walk-up costume. That's why you lost that fight. Not the fact that Fury perfectly executed a perfect game plan and kept you backing up all night long, and you never got into any rhythm at all. I mean, yes, I'd agree. Wilder did not look like himself, and his legs did look off. But I'm going to say that was because there was a massive human being standing in front of him, backing him up and pounding him. Look, there's no shame in not having your legs work when Tyson Fury is beating on you. That's normal. It sucks, but it'll happen. Bad costumes, on the other hand, should not happen. I mean, what's a worse look? Blaming the fight on the costume, or what if he's right to blame the fight on the costume? Again, go ahead, ignore Tyson Fury and the clinic you put on for a moment and say that the costume really was to blame. If that's the case, why are you wearing a costume that's too heavy for the biggest fight of your life? And why weren't you trying it on until the night before? And when you finally did put that thing on the night before, why didn't somebody who was close to you, somebody in your corner say, "Hey man, really cool costume and a really nice idea, but it's probably too heavy. It could cost you the fight. You probably don't want to go out there with that." I don't know, maybe shave a few pounds off that costume. Maybe just go with that really cool mask. Or maybe, better yet, just go with the Mike Tyson towel. It doesn't weigh anything at all. It's a badass look. You can hurry to the ring and then beat up your opponent and wear whatever you want afterwards. Also, are you really trying to say that after all the training you had done, a 40-pound costume with a mask and batteries was too much? The heavyweight champion was done in by a 40-pound costume that he had to wear for a ring walk. How far is the ring? Did you walk that thing to the moon? It's not like he jogged a marathon. He's walking around like Hawk back here in the studio. It's not like he just jogged a marathon in an old school deep sea diver suit. I guess what I'm saying is this doesn't make any sense at all. Again, I've always liked my conversations with my man Deontay, but that explanation is really tough to take. Again, I know when you lose a fight like that, there's always going to be some mental gymnastics to explain what happened, but that is going way too far. That is taking a bad night and making it much, much worse. Don't blame it on your corner. Don't blame it on the costume. You know what you blame it on? Blame it on the guy standing in front of you who beat you down. That was Tyson Fury's fault. That's whose fault it was.